Hi, babe. Welcome to the Horror Babe Show. I'm your host, Chelsea Beller. Today's guest is Ivotres Littles, a horror filmmaker interviewer with a horror based YouTube channel just like me. Ivotres and I chat about how she got into horror, interviewing the likes of David Howard Thornton, and the psychology of horror films. Tune in to two horror babes talking about being horror babes. Anastasia Washington brought you up to me, and I was like, oh my God, a fellow horror blogger who's a woman. Like, I need to talk to her.
Oh, I
um,
gotta tell her thank you. She's so sweet.
yeah, truly the best. I had her and Gina Hendry on my show, and I saw
Mhm.
you also had them with Takia on
Yeah,
your show for Deadhead.
yeah.
That must have been so cool to talk to Takia as well. How was that?
That was fun. That was fun. I
Yeah.
was telling her like, "Oh my gosh, when I was little, I used to watch you in living color." So,
Mhm.
it was surreal. Like, I would have never thought,
Wild.
so many years later, I would be talking to her.
Oh, well, I should do a quick intro. Ivotres, Ivotres,
Yeah.
Ivotres.
It's
Good
okay.
lord.
It's
I
okay.
apologize
I've heard
sincerely.
every combination. It's okay.
Ivotres is a horror blogger. She's a film critic and a horror filmmaker interviewer like myself. Well, I guess my first question is, how did you get started as a horror blogger?
Oh, that's gonna take more than 30 minutes for the How did I get started?
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we want the full story or do we want the
Mm.
short end? Because
Whatever you want. I'm here.
okay.
I'm in it.
Okay. So I was working at Target and
Cool.
I applied for a position there and I didn't get it and I was upset.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it was like I need to do something else because this is not working.
Yeah.
But I went to school for film and art
Mhm.
and very tiny, tiny bit of, theater. I
Nice.
really wanted to go further with it into acting, but I had a problem with, self-confidence. It was terrible at the time.
We
And
all have
so I was like, "Well, I would need to do something with something." And I always wanted to know and I loved movies, like all kinds, not just horror movies, like everything.
yeah.
And, I wanted to do something more in depth. I like the behind the scenes because when I went to film school, you do the behind the scenes. So I had
Yeah.
to find actors, budget, TV production, script writing, all that stuff. We had to perform and do a lot of that.
Mm.
And I was like, that was so fascinating from having an idea to putting it on paper and then
Totally.
activating it. And TV studio, that's crazy. I have much respect for those who work in TV,
Oh, yes.
live TV, because we had to do projects where it was live. Like
Oh
everything
my
had to be
god.
cue it up and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
um, that was more fascinating than the end product. So I decided
Sure.
to started interviewing people and I really had a problem with self-confidence and I was scared and I didn't like the way I look. I gained weight and I was going through a
Mhm.
lot, but I still
Yeah.
wanted to do it. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, nobody's going to help me. I have to figure it out. So I decided to go to a convention at the time with the guy I was with at the time. He was into comic books and things like that. He took me to the first comic book convention. I'm not sure if it was WonderCon or LA Comic Con. I don't remember, or Kamikaze at
Right.
the time, I think. And I was walking around and I ran into Full Moon Features booth and I was freaking out because they had the little dolls from Puppet Master and videos. And I was like, oh my goodness,
Wow.
this is oh my god, I remember watching this as a kid and everything. And as I was looking at the DVDs and the figures and stuff, the first thing I said to myself, I was like, I wonder is the guy who created it here? Because there were people there. I was just looking around
Right.
and then one of the guys who was working the booth, I said, "Oh, this is so cool." And I started asking him questions. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it would be so cool to talk to to the guy who created Puppet Master because these dolls are just fascinating to me. And he said, "Hold up, Charles Band like that." And I was like, I turned and looked, and he turned around, and then that's when I recognized it because on the, videos and stuff like that, and I was like,
Right.
"Oh my good," and he walked over, and the guy said, "Oh, she wanted to talk to you about the dolls." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." Like, he was so kind and so sweet, and then he told me about the dolls, like, why this one looked like that, and I can't remember for the life of me because I was just so
Sure.
starstruck, but
Yeah.
I didn't write anything down, we were just talking, and the
Yeah.
experience with him was so fascinating, and
Right.
I loved the stories, and then he gave me one of the Blade plush dolls, and I still have it, I don't know, it's somewhere on this side, it's that plush doll, and I've had it since
Mhm.
2014.
Oh my
Um,
god.
it's dusty and as hell, but ever since then, that is when I knew I wanted to do it. So because of him and the experience I had with Charles Band, I created, it was called Nerdtastic Girl, and then I started going to comic book conventions, and talking to different stars. The first of the few was, I think it was Casper Van Dien from Starship Troopers. Oh my gosh, she played, oh my god, in Star Trek. I lost her name. And I talked to her and I talked to a few others, and I was like, "Wow, this was fun and scary." And then it just kept going, and then that's when, I really did, Michael, Gross from Tremors,
So
uh,
cool.
Alex Vincent from Child's Play, Tom Holland from Child's Play, and I impressed his son, Josh Holland, so I think hopefully it's Josh, so well that I got to interview Tom Holland at his home in LA in the hills. So, and then seeing the things from Fright Night and that stuff, like I was like, I was like I was literally on top of the world because his house was on the
Yes.
hill, and that's when I could keep doing this, and his
Yeah.
son never met me. He only talked to me on the phone, and I convinced him
Oh,
enough to convince his father, Tom Holland, to come in his home. So
that's
that's when I knew I
wild.
have something here. And then I just
Yeah.
kept going, and then from there, then I wanted to do more YouTube and live, and then I could transition. It took me 6 months to figure out what I wanted to do and then to
Mhm.
change Nerdtastic Girl because I loved horror movies and I felt more comfortable because with comic book, you gotta know a lot of it, comic books
Yeah.
and the movies, and although I
Yeah.
love Marvel, DC, and all that stuff, I just wasn't comfortable with it. So I moved on to horror, and then I came up with horror movies and beyond because I wanted it very generic. I didn't want it
Yeah.
feminine, I didn't want it masculine, I just want it very generic.
Right.
And then it just went to the, I think, Monsterpalooza at the time, and, I did interview people at Midsummer Scream when it way
Oh.
back, and then it just domino effect, and here we are. And then I started doing movie reviews,
Mhm.
similar to Dead Meat.
Yeah.
They were there were skits and things like that, and I
Mhm.
liked doing that, but
Mhm.
it was a lot. It was a lot. It's a lot.
It
Much
is.
respect for who people do that, and I was just,
Mhm.
but I like talking to people, so I transitioned to interviewing, and I still do a movie review here and there, but I just prefer having someone there and
Sure.
talking about their story in the movie, so that's where it is.
Yeah. What a journey.
It was a it was a long, I was trying to shorten it, but I still struggle with anxiety, and I get nervous, and it
Course.
made it easier over the years, but I still struggle with, "Oh my gosh, do I look right? Do I," it's every video, I'm always nervous. Doesn't matter if
Yeah.
I'm the guest or if they're on my
That just comes with the territory though, doesn't it?
Mhm, putting your
I
stuff out
mean,
there. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people, they're just like, "Yeah, I'm great at this, and this is what I do," but, like, I feel like for the majority of us, especially, like, us being women in a predominantly male industry, like, there's a lot of anxiety there, and it's like, "Okay, am I gonna post a review of something and then, 100 men are gonna come out of the woodwork being like, 'You're wrong, and this is why.'" But, like, am I really gonna spend that much time caring about that? Like, shouldn't I just be true to myself and put my voice out there and, fuck anyone who says otherwise? Like, yeah, it's hard. It's
It
hard.
is a hard thing to do. I think that's why when I first did it and just did the movie reviews, um,
Mhm.
you can make a lot of mistakes
Mhm.
because if you don't get something right, I just felt
Yeah.
like people would just butcher you. And the pressure of that and me coming out of having anxiety and depression, I just felt like I wasn't ready for the brutality of it.
Yeah,
So I said, you know what? If I interview someone, I could ask the questions and they could tell me the answers. So that
right.
was kind of the first reason why I got in there.
Totally. Yeah.
You still could mess up because if you say something to them that has no, you still have to do your research because they can
Of
always tell
course.
if you didn't watch a movie or you didn't do
Yeah,
something. So you
yeah.
still have to. It's their time to shine. So
Mhm.
you're kind of like, oof, I got a little weight off my shoulders. So
Right.
it works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that you interviewed David Howard Thornton, Art the Clown from Terrifier franchise. I would love to do that at some point. That is wild. Like, tell me about that experience.
I got an email about the film and
Mhm.
they had a list of people on there to
Yeah,
interview. His name was on there. And usually names like that are for the studio, like, bigger
of course.
things.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And I said, oh, can I interview him? Is he available? And they said, well,
Yeah.
let us see. And usually that means
No.
I'm on the bottom of the totem pole, so it probably won't even
Right.
happen. And the next thing you know, I got an email, I think either a week later, it said he's available at this times, and I was freaking out.
Oh my
I
god.
was like, "What? Okay." So and I wanted to interview him since I saw the first one, because I absolutely just love the clown.
Yeah.
Now I know there was the All Hallows Eve, I think, and
Mhm.
I do remember seeing it, but it was like 2012 or so. It was a long
Yeah.
time ago.
It was,
Um,
yeah.
so when I saw the first Terrifier, I was like, "Oh, I just want to talk to the clown. I want him, the person,
Yeah.
because it's so brutal and so just sadistic. How is this person in real life?" And so
Yeah.
anyway, so on the day of, I was nervous, and then I think there was the PR person from Dread Central, or was it Dread or Bloody Disgusting? I don't remember. I think it was Bloody Disgusting at the time. I don't know. Anyway, somebody. And so he popped in and I kind of froze because it was
Yeah.
like, I can't believe they're letting me. I was a little person at the time. So,
Mhm.
and that was an experience. He's so sweet because when he started talking, I was like, what? I just saw a film where you just gutting somebody. It's just
Right.
stabbing away on the bed. It's like, and then I just wanted to know, was he part of the creativity or there was,
Right.
you have to do this? And it's a little bit of
Yeah.
both.
Mhm.
There is a script where do this,
Right.
and it's like, what mindset knowing you're stabbing like this and doing all
Exactly.
kinds of stuff, and obviously he's a mime type. It was a very interesting conversation, but he's the sweetest, very
So
kind of like low key,
yeah.
but then in the movies, he's like, "Ah."
Ah!
So
Yeah, I loved that interview, and I thought it was fascinating when he was like, "Yeah, I basically create my own dialogue in my head," because he doesn't say anything,
mm,
and that influences the facial expressions that he makes, which are so iconic. I idolize that, and I
mm,
commemorate him so much for, one, being the kindest, sweetest person on the planet, and two, being able to play the most sadistic mime clown in the whole world. Like, that is
mm.
just so wild. Of the 3, which is your favorite Terrifier? If you have
3.
3.
3 is the best one.
Yeah.
Performance, I'm not
Mm.
gonna say the story because the story is kind of the same in all of them,
Mhm.
but it's just like the performances and, the kills, it was just enhanced, and you could tell the money that was invested and got so popular in 2, you could see how they invested in 3. and
Right.
everything. So, to be honest, I love the clown, like, just the clown itself. The movie as a whole is okay to me, but I think his performance enhanced the movies,
Right.
and he will always have to enhance his performances because he
Mhm.
doesn't have dialogue. So
Right.
in 4, it has to be bigger, like the
Yeah.
way he responds and everything. So
Right.
that's a lot of work for him because with dialogue, it's just reading off, get better wording, but
Yeah.
there's none of that. He has to really show expression
Yeah.
more. So that's a lot of work. I know he was tired.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, I watched a video, where you were, talking to someone, forgive me, I can't remember their name or the movie. You had created a mask for
Oh,
film.
Hitchhackers. I think
Yes,
it was called Hitchhackers.
yeah,
And his name was Devix. Yeah, Devix, and he's the director of
yeah,
it, Hitchhackers. And he, oh, that mask. It was a smash up between Predator and Jason.
right.
Yeah.
That was wild because, until that point, I didn't know that you were, like, crafty. Is that something that you do? Is that a hobby you do, or
It's
was this
more of a hobby. It's not a profession, which I kind of would like to integrate that in some kind of way. I've thought about it, but
yeah,
it takes a lot of time
mhm,
um, to do those, and it's not really about getting the material because you could get that anywhere,
sure,
but it's just time to make that into trying to do other things. So
right,
if someone asks me, to make something, then
yeah,
I'll do it, but it's
yeah,
not something like I advertise because it's not a consistent thing I do, which is not great because it gets rusty. Your skills get rusty. But that mask was made out of what was it made out? It was oh my goodness, air drying clay and plaster wrap.
really?
Mhm,
That's so cool.
that's it.
Have you done that for other movies?
The first time I made something for someone was for Chelsea, uh, from Dead Meat. She asked me to make the mask from Malignant, and I made that out of paper towels and plaster wrap.
Get out. That's
Yeah,
so
that
cool.
mask that she wore it, and she took photos in it, and people were like, "Oh," like, it got around. And
Yeah,
they were like, "What is it made out of?" And I said, "Oh,
yeah.
paper towels and plaster wrap and air drying clay." And it was like, "You a damn lie." They're like, "No," like, really bounty paper towels. Because if you can make anything out of anything if you know the
Mhm.
properties of what could make something hard and solid. It
Right,
doesn't have to be that plaster stuff and
sure.
all that rubber stuff. That's if
Yeah,
you want it to last longer and it's going through multiple uses or you want to make molds. But
right,
mine are one of a kind and they just need it for whatever. So then for one thing and
yeah,
that's it. So that was that, and then someone saw that and then wanted one. So my creations are never the same, and I had to warn
yeah,
him. I said, "I don't. It's not going to look the same. It's because they're one of a kind. I don't have molds or anything." So I made them one and shipped it off somewhere. The
cool.
thing behind me, I don't know if you could see it. Let me move. Let me just grab it.
Yeah.
This right here. I made this.
Did you make that?
It's out of just air drying clay.
Stop.
That's it.
That is so cool, dude.
Let me see if I can get more detail. So yeah, it's a little dusty, but it's shinier if I wipe it. But yeah,
Oh, sure. I
just
love that.
this air drying clay and just a lot of detailing with. So
It
yeah.
it looks legit. Really
Well, I
does.
have a background in art, so I've
Nice.
always painted and drew stuff in my for my entire life.
Wow. That is such a cool skill. What do you think psychologically horror movies do for horror fans like us?
I think it depends on how you grew up. Each individual experience is just based on your child and adult experiences, mostly your childhood, because some people would watch a horror movie and it's just like pure enjoyment. They're just it's like fun.
Yeah,
Nothing special. They're not getting any information out of it. They just talk about it with their friends and move on. And then there's some people that are just pure enjoyment of the death scenes and the story. They really have a favorite, villain or actor or
yeah,
actress, and just just like they're into it more than the first person, but they're it's like they collect things and stuff
right,
like that. But then there's the extreme, and the extreme is not bad. It's just they are more deep into the structure of the creation of the movie, the characters, what feelings
right.
does it bring to them, does it help them resolve things of their personal life. Sometimes they see villains as heroes, and or they see villains of people from their past, and you're watching you know the hero or whatever overcome that, and they feel a sense of strength and
Mhm.
admiration and love and things. It's all kind of feelings.
Yeah,
So for me, I'm the extreme. I'm all of them. It's just what you've experienced, and all levels are great. There's no one less than the other, and I think
yeah,
having that variety is good because we get good stories, we get good conversations,
yeah,
um, and also those same people who make the films, we see that in their filmmaking. I mean, you'll have the fun ones like we have, Toxic Avenger. I mean, this just pure enjoyment and fun and wacky and things like that. And then you have things where like Nosferatu, where it's this deep emotion, this
yeah,
feeling, this atmospheric. So those things also reflect the creators of how they grew up,
right,
rather they're 100% in horror or they're just partly in it and they just trying to make money. But either way, as a viewer, we can see it. Horror fans can see how much they put into it in their personal and their own unconscious and conscious feelings into it. Psychologically, it's just our experiences and how we just perceive the world when
right.
we're watching the movie. So that's my thoughts on that.
I love that. Yeah, that makes so much sense. I love that answer. That's something I love to talk about with people. Like, um, basically, why do we love horror? Like, what is it about horror? And like, are we weird, quote unquote, for liking horror? Or like, some people think horror fans are going to be, murderers or something at some point because they love watching violence. And it's like, no, that's not what this is about. It's more about like the joy of it, like you're saying, or even more in depth, like how it affects you and how you feel about it.
I mean, there's some horror like horror subjects that are in the movie that I
Mhm.
think should have its limitations. Because speaking of Terrifier, like when I was watching that, it was crazy. There were
Yeah.
some things I was just like, I had to look away. That's the only movie ever, Terrifier 3, that one scene where Home Chick was in the asylum
Oh,
sucking on
uh-huh.
his intestines. That was the
Ooh,
only
yeah.
scene ever in any movie I've ever watched that was a horror movie I had to look away. And I
Ugh.
was eating a hot dog when
Oh,
she
no.
was doing her thing, and I looked away for a second, and the guy next to me looked away for a hot second, and I had to come back, and I was like, "That has never happened. Never."
Wow.
They just went far and beyond, but that's okay.
Mhm.
Now, the ones that I think that we don't need in horror movies is
Uh-huh.
grape seeds with women.
Mhm.
I really think it's tired, and it always an excuse for her to go and kill everybody or have
Right,
revenge. No, there's
right.
sometimes women can just be crazy. They don't
Mhm.
need all that. So,
Yeah.
it's just we don't
Yeah.
need it anymore. We should
Especially
be
in
past
today's
that.
world.
Yeah, we're past that.
Yeah.
The woman could be crazy just to be crazy.
Yeah.
It's true. I've met some. That's all. We don't need abuse to be crazy. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, men can do a lot, quote unquote, less to make us crazy, you know?
A bad
So
relationship. He cheated on her.
mhm,
Now she could go kill. Okay,
that's it.
so okay, that's all we need. We don't need
Yeah.
a group of men walking in her room. We're
Mhm,
done.
mhm.
We're done with
Yeah. Yeah.
that. Ugh,
Yeah. It's too much. It's too far. It's been too long.
yeah,
I
we're
agree.
done. We're done.
Yeah. Oh, good lord. That's a good point. You make a really good point. Oh, I was, because I did my research. I was looking at your website, and, you said that the scariest movie you've ever watched was Candyman from 1992. Is that still true?
Well, yes. Well, it have different levels. As a
Mm,
child, it is Candyman.
okay.
Candyman from '92. I was 12 years old when I went to go see it. Same year it came out. And it was terrifying. It was terrifying. And
Yeah.
then to add insult to injury, my sister, when I was in the shower, cut out the lights, said his name. Well, she said his name 5 times, cut out the lights, and
No.
ran out the bathroom and locked the door from the inside. So I was, you just unlock it, but I was so scared. Yeah, so it just enhanced. And then our vanity or whatever in the mirror in the wall moved. So it shook.
Ooh,
So, I mean, you can't take it out, but it was right here next to the toilet, so it was big like that. It was so it
no.
resembled that one, so I couldn't use the bathroom for 3 days. I wouldn't go in the bathroom, and
No.
so poor little me was constipated. It was terrible, yeah.
Oh, no.
As
Uh,
an adult,
yeah.
there is one, actually, as an adult, there are 2 movies at different times. The Dark Skies, the movie Dark Skies,
I haven't seen
I don't
that.
know what it was, but it scared the heebie-jeebies out of me. Like, under the
Really?
covers. I don't know. I don't like I don't like aliens and
Okay.
paranormal, um,
Okay.
and they're kind of both.
Okay.
But the way they did it, it was so frightening that it just got
Wow.
me.
Yeah.
I can't watch it now, even now, for something about it. And then it's not even a movie, it was a segment from Tales from the Crypt,
Oh,
called Terrorvision, and that one scared me so bad I had to turn on the lights. So those
wow.
are only 3 things that ever scared me to this day.
Wow. I love learning what actually scares especially horror fans because this is something we potentially subject ourselves to every day. So it's like, okay, so what actually scares you, you know? Or
Mhm.
like Anastasia and Gina and I, we talked about like, what's your ick? Like, what's the one thing that you're just like, nope, I can't do that. And for me, it's vomit.
Oh, then you wouldn't have liked that one movie.
Really?
It was a movie, House by the Cemetery.
Okay.
Oh my god, and, these other 2, but I think it was House by the Cemetery,
Uh-huh.
and this lady was barfing up her intestines, and it didn't stop. It
No.
didn't stop. It
Oh,
just kept going. Everything was coming
no.
out. I think it was
God.
House by the Cemetery. It
Blech.
was just yeah, it was just but it wasn't like shooting. It
Mm,
was just falling out, and
ugh,
then it got
uh,
worse and worse and worse, and then you just
no.
could tell the kidneys, but it was so bloody.
Uh. Yeah. But
You
see,
should see it.
because you should watch it. Yeah, just put that on my next watch list. Ivotres, what is your ick, if you have one?
Do I have an ick? God, I've seen everything. I
Wow.
think bad acting.
I mean,
No, no, you know what? I'm gonna have to say that, like, terrible acting. Not even trying acting.
Uh, yeah.
I'm probably gonna get a bad
Say it.
thing about saying this, but I've seen a lot of acting in a lot of
Mhm.
different movies, from B movies to Z type movies that are just like,
Mhm.
"Whoa." I shouldn't even say this, but the kid from Terrifier, the one
Oh,
the what's his name? He the one with the wearing the
the,
glasses.
Jonathan? Is it Jonathan, the
I
brother?
think
Nah.
it took me out. He took me
Did
out
it
of the movie.
really?
His scenes took me out of the movie. I just
Interesting.
But I felt like that since 2. I think
Okay.
2 has some of the worst acting. I love
I'm
the
gonna tell
clown.
Damien Williams you said that.
No, no, but I'll tell
No,
him.
I'm kidding.
I'm telling him. No,
Yeah.
I love I love the clown. I love the I don't know, I just love the clown. But see, not everybody was terrible. I'm not being specific on
Oh,
who, but
yeah.
I just think it's some of the worst
Yeah.
acting for that series. Now, number 2 was there was a lot of number 3 was a lot of improvement. I was sitting there like, "Oh, okay,
Totally.
I see." But I
Yeah.
just can't get with Jonathan,
Yeah.
but that's just me. Like, he's a nice kid. Like,
He's
he's
cute, yeah.
funny. There's
He's
nothing wrong
sweet.
with him. It's just
I'm gonna chalk it up to inexperience, you know? He's young, so
yeah.
hopefully, like, with each Terrifier that comes out,
I
maybe
thought
maybe there's
he's
4?
dead. He's supposed to have been dead.
Oh,
He
yeah,
died in 3. I should
yeah.
not be seeing him in 4. No.
What if he comes back?
Then you know what? Wait, because you don't see his death.
No, you don't.
No, you just see the aftermath.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that it could be tricky.
it's possible.
Like he could show up again or whatever,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna be very upset if he shows up. Because in the theater when I saw just his glasses and head, I was like, "Thank goodness." I was I couldn't wait till he was gone.
Oh
I was
god.
hoping he was gonna go in the movie because I was done.
Well, he also didn't have much of a storyline in that 3rd one, so I was like, "Thin the
Well,
herd?"
the sister was going through something. Talking about calm
Yeah.
down. This girl went through chaos and you're mad at her?
Yeah,
I was like, if
I
art
was kinda
doesn't come
mad.
get this kid, because I will. I was done with him. I was clapping. I was like, "Ooh," when I saw
Yeah,
his
alright,
head. I was like,
good.
"Mhm. Thank you, Art the clown." All right.
Bad acting, I if it takes you out of it,
Well, it
like,
took him out too. So,
it took him out for sure.
oh my God, somebody's gonna say something to me. I knew I'm gonna get it.
Oh, it's fine. Comments just, boost your engagement, right? So, there's no
Mm.
downside. Well, I think I will try to ask maybe just one last question.
Okay. She said,
Hmm,
"Try."
she says, "Try." I have 2 questions that I really wanna ask. One, you don't have to answer, but I'm just curious from your perspective, how do you see, because you are a woman of color, how
Mhm.
do you see the role of Black women evolving in horror, both on screen and off screen? Do you think there's a positive uptick? Do you think we could do better? I mean, obviously we could do better, but, like, I wanna know from your perspective,
I think we can obviously we could do more improvement.
obviously. Yes.
Um, I think more improvement is better roles.
Mhm,
Because to me, I mean, you can have more people of color in these films or black people
mhm,
in these
mhm.
films, but if they're in the same type of roles, there's no improvement. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter. I mean, you can have
yeah,
100,000 and they're just the same type. It's just, where are
right.
we going with this?
Yeah,
Um, More leading roles, that'd be great. Uh, and not just that, but the type of character they play.
Yes.
Um, being like the savior, but it's more of the magical Negro type. It's just
Right.
to help these people move to the next level. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, that's great, but but you can't I can't say knock it off all the way, like, get rid of it because it just
Sure.
depends on the context of where the story is taking place. I
Of
mean, if it's
course.
in Louisiana, if it's in Haiti, it's kinda like, well,
Yeah. Right.
or in Africa,
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
that's where the story is, and
Mhm.
that makes sense.
It does.
But if they're in, the suburbs of, LA, and then she just so happened to be walking down the street and she's some kind of witch doctor, it's like that doesn't
Right.
wait, come on
No.
now. That is weird. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like it just depends on the context. And then
Mhm.
the stereotype, does she has to be some kind of broken woman
Right.
or abused
Right.
or ghetto, loud,
Yeah.
obnoxious? Like, does she have to be wearing big bangle earrings? Does she? No. Let
No.
just be the regular person and just act the scene of that character.
Yeah.
I mean, if she has to be tough, let her be tough, but you could be tough
Right.
without being, from the hood.
Right.
Does she need to be?
Yes.
If that's not what the character requires. So
Yeah.
that's what it's just that is
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. The
Mhm.
improvements. I would love to see, it's like I mean, I don't want to get in specifics because there's so many, but it's just like,
Sure.
do we have to be oppressed and
Mhm.
violent and be the loud one in the group?
Yeah.
Not just black, but just any group. Like, do they have
Yeah.
to be the smart nerd, the Asian, the smart nerdy one that knows everything, wears the
Exactly.
glasses and gets picked on? Does the the Mexican or Latino or whatever have
Mhm.
to be the loud and violent from the prisons and tattoos all over?
Yeah.
Does it really have to be those looks?
Yeah,
Like,
what does
or
that
to
do?
and then there be each one, you got the blonde, you got the the jock.
Yeah.
Unless you're making a parody joke
Sure.
funny, it
Right.
depends on the context. So, I
Yes.
think we just need to improve, but then those kind of the hard part is it's not the character, it's the people who creating the films and the resources in the area of where they have access to. Because I've asked that question of why you have these certain people in these films. And
Yeah.
one when I did the producers panel, and one of them was like, where we were at the time to do the casting, that's all we
Mhm.
had access to. Then I was
Interesting.
like, then why put a black person in there if you know they're going to be the cop? Like,
Right.
be the person to get killed. Like, why
Yeah.
cast them for that? Oh,
Yeah.
we're, diversity or something. It's like, then don't cast them because that's
Yeah.
what we're tired of seeing.
Yeah.
Put
Yeah.
it as the white guy. We're not gonna
Yeah.
get mad. Who cares? But as
Right.
soon as you put them as the character that we know is going to be this certain type of person,
Yeah.
you're not making it any better.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not helping the situation, you're
Yeah.
hindering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
it comes from in here. Nothing will change in the film. I don't care what rules, laws, or what you do or change or try to fix. You have to change the heart. You have the
Mhm.
empathy of what you're about to do. If you don't
Yeah.
have that in anything you create, we're goners.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
This is how I see it. We want change. The to do the change is simple. Just change.
Yeah, just do
Just
it. Yeah.
instead of picking A, just pick B. We really do need to have empathy of how
Mhm.
things would affect a person. If we cannot develop empathy, if we do not have it, change in anything we do would never happen.
Uh, yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
No.
It's like
Oh my god,
you took it
no.
to a different but it's the truth. I see it all
It's
the
the
time.
truth. It's something we're seeing a lot right now, and it's hard. It's important to talk about, and that's why I wanted to talk about
Mm.
it. My very last question, I promise, is, what advice would you give to newer horror bloggers like myself?
Ooh, I don't think I've ever been asked that. I
Oh,
don't think so.
great.
I don't think so.
Mm.
My advice would be whatever. See, nah, I wouldn't say that. I'm trying to I'm trying to think farther back than
Yeah.
I started. The first thing you need to have is tough skin, thick skin.
Yes.
Um, and the only way that you could start having that is looking in the mirror and talking to yourself
Yeah.
because people are going to look at you while you're talking. So you'd have to have that feeling of eyes watching you, rather if it's live or pre-recorded, whatever. You're going to be putting yourself out there.
Mhm.
So then get used to that, especially if it's something that you're not used to. Um,
Yeah.
Also, don't worry about things as like if you think, oh, I'm too fat, too skinny, my hair doesn't look right, my skin is too dark, too light, I don't look like Susie Q over here, Joe Blow. Am I funny like this person or that person? You have to like worry about what you're doing, but use other people as inspiration. And that's a very fine line.
Yes.
Because you would look at someone and say, "Oh, look how what they're doing. I want to be on that level." I did that a lot, and then I lost myself because as I was thinking those things, I was starting to create things like theirs because I wanted to be
Mm.
on their level. And
Mhm.
then the more I would know about them, it took them 10 years to get there, and I just started. So,
Right.
it's an impossible thing.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's a goal that you're trying to reach that you would never get because they're always gonna be 10 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't say don't look at someone, just don't follow their path because
Yeah.
their path could have a drop that's 100
Right.
feet. Um,
Yeah.
you don't know that, but
Mhm.
worry about your path because you're looking over here, then you may drop 100 feet,
Right.
because you wasn't paying
Yeah.
attention. Always use people as inspiration. Don't always look at other people's work. Don't always watch them. Like,
Mhm.
you could support them, like their pages and things like that, and
Sure.
talk to them, but don't watch every video because while you're trying to create your unless you've been doing it for 20 years, you don't care because it's like,
Yeah.
well, let's see what this person doing." But if you're
Yeah.
starting, your mind is developing of who you want to become,
Right.
not become. And if you're creating this environment, this
Yeah.
story of yourself, you're going to end up putting things in there that don't belong. And then it's
Right.
going to alter who you are. You want to
Mhm.
come correct as yourself. Inspiration is everywhere. It doesn't have to be another YouTuber or anything. It could
Yeah.
be actors, it could be films, it could be, oh my God, I met my old teacher from fifth grade. I mean, you could have all of this and be open to all of that.
Sure.
Don't just follow YouTubers because
Mhm.
you have no idea who they are. Because remember, when the camera goes on, the smile comes. When the
Yeah.
camera goes off, they could be alcoholics, they could be
Right.
smoking crack pipes. You have
Yeah.
no idea. And then you
Yeah.
want to be like them. Well, in order
Yeah.
to be like them, you got to be on the crack pipe. You got to
Right.
be drinking because that's what makes them them.
Yeah.
You don't want to follow the path like that. Create your
Mhm.
own path, your own journey, your own stories, and just follow what you think is right and is in your
Yeah.
heart. Do your own research on things. Always be ready for failure. Always be ready for success.
Yeah.
And always be ready for disappointment because you
Yeah.
could put all your energy and hope that someone is going to help you and they're ghosting you and gaslighting you, and that is the most disappointing thing because you're like, why would they do that? Everyone is trying to get to the top of the mountain, and some have claws. They will claw you out the way, kick you off,
Yeah.
um, or whatever. But it's just do what's best for you. Think about
Mhm.
yourself. Don't give a damn about what other people are doing, and don't give a damn what if you post something and lose ten friends, F 'em.
Yeah.
I had to learn all this. F them because they're never your friends. They're never your friends.
Right.
But yeah, just focus on you, yourself, your beauty, your love, your passion, and don't rely on anyone. Failure is not failure. It's just another door to another opportunity. Use your failures. If you failed at something or you something happened and it didn't work out or you didn't get the views, use that opportunity to figure out what happened. And sometimes you could be doing everything right and it still doesn't happen. That doesn't mean somebody's not looking because I don't have a large following. I don't have a large anything, but I'm still in the same places with the people with with millions of followers. How is
True.
that? How are you over
Yeah.
there? Because sometimes it's your personality, your quality, and just who you are as an individual. People could see success in you. You don't need millions of viewers, millions of followers to make you feel successful. If you walk
Yeah.
in and just be like, "Hey, darlings, here I am," the person that has the millions of views may be walking in like this because they're afraid they
Right.
do the wrong move. Everybody be like, "Look," you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy, and I've been there. TikToker got 300,000. This person got 6 million followers. This
Yes.
person is big on Fangoria, Dread Central. Oh my god! And I'm sitting in there with 3,000 followers, and I'm still taking pictures with Getty images. So it don't matter. Just do you. Do you.
Yes. Thank you, Ivotres.
You're
You
so welcome.
speak words of wisdom. I will take this to heart. Thank you
Mhm.
so much.
You're welcome.
You're just a gem of a person. You have such a light about you.
Oh,
I've just been honored to speak to you. Yeah.
thank you, because sometimes my mind is so dark.
I get it. I get it.
Well, I appreciate thank you for
Yeah.
having me on here. This is a lot of
Oh,
fun.
of course. Well, that's it from me and Ivotres. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Tune in every Friday for a new filmmaker interview episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, follow, and subscribe. You can follow Ivotres and her YouTube channel, Horror Movies and Beyond, at the social media handles below. Bye, babe.